But next up, we got Neliel. I wasn't sure Neliel was going to make it in the game, but here we are. Let's see. Alright. Now, she has one of the coolest awakenings in the game, too. It makes me kind of wonder how it's going to play. Yeah, no. Alright. Alright. So, jumping right in. Spiritual Pressure move 1. I am not going to try to pronounce that. Neliel charges to the opponent, and if the thrust hits, the attack delivers into a continuous attack. Since an additional attack can be utilized by using the signature move gauge, it is advised to accumulate the gauge for an optimized attack. So it kind of sounds like she has a separate gauge, and that gauge is going to let her follow up on this spiritual pressure move. So instead of like 2 or 3 hits, it can follow up into more, I'm guessing. Let's look. So that's 3 hits. I can imagine that there's probably a couple more that goes on the end of that if you have that gauge built up. So Kadena, that's their signature move. Holding input increases the ability gauge. The accumulated gauge will be used when a spiritual pressure move is utilized, causing additional attacks. Right. So I think they show that because I think after this, after she charges, that's probably the same move, and then she has her Zero on that. So her spiritual pressure move 2 summons Peshe and Dondachaka to fire an oversized Zero. It has a particularly long range and high damage, but it takes time to fire. Now, it says it takes time to fire, but if you pay attention here to Okiora, whenever you do spiritual pressure moves, the opponent freezes for a second, it looks like, for a lot of them. So pay attention to where he's frozen and when he can move and when the beam comes out, right? Because that's really the window he has to dodge it. See, he's frozen, frozen. He has like a split second to dodge that. I don't think it's going to be as long as they say it is, the charge for that. Alright, so her awakening. Neliel releasing Gamuza with Resurrection. Her attack motion changes, making it easier to gain an advantage that utilizes long range attacks from outside the opponent's attack range. Right. Yeah, that looks cool. Yeah, Nell looks pretty sick. Alright. So if we move over to the website, her data page, the one that wasn't said in the trailer is this one. The unique specification chase stock. Now, I'm not quite sure what this means, but I can kind of figure it out by consuming the gauge accumulated with unique skills. So there's a gauge that's accumulated with unique skills. You can add derivative attacks to some attacks or cancel stiffness steps. Since Neliel's basic attack power is low, you should use it to actively increase damage. So it sounds like the more you use your gauge, you fill up this stock, and it can probably like special cancel into flash steps and stuff like that. But this is again one that's like pretty vague. I don't really know. The translation's kind of rough. I don't really know exactly what it would do in game. That's something that I'd have to get my hands on to find out. But that's kind of what it sounds like. That you have a gauge to fill up, and then when you use like spiritual pressure technique 1, you can get extra attacks on it, and when you do that, it fills up these stocks, which you can like cancel stiffness steps and add more attacks on to your moves. But it does sound like she's gonna have to have these combos because she's gonna have low attack power. But again, you gotta get hands on the game to see if that's really the case, right?